Millions of years ago, when humans lived in caves, and far in the future, when they started traveling through space to explore distant planets, humanity has always faced danger. From the ancient past to the far future, time has connected people across generations. But how does time truly connect us? Let's explore this story. The story begins in the year 2450. A huge spaceship is traveling hundreds of light years away, searching for another planet that humans could live on. Inside the entire ship, there is only one human, a woman named Gina. She is not completely alone, though. An advanced AI system named Roscoe helps her manage and protect the spaceship. By this time, Earth had become completely unlivable because of overpopulation and pollution. Humanity eventually died out on Earth. This spaceship now carries the last hope of the human race. Gina is transporting preserved DNA samples of thousands of children. The plan is to use these samples on a new planet and bring humanity back, saving the species from extinction. Gina started this journey 200 years ago, and she still has 20 years left before reaching the destination. In this era, humans had developed technology that could slow down the aging process, which allowed Gina to survive and maintain the ship alone for 2 centuries. Until now, everything had gone smoothly, but suddenly a serious problem appears. Roscoe reports that the oxygen levels inside the ship are decreasing. Gina quickly rushes to the greenhouse to check, and Roscoe's data is correct. Some of the plants inside the greenhouse have become infected. If the infection spreads, the ship will keep losing oxygen. Gina immediately starts working to find the source of the problem. After hours of exhausting effort, she removes all the infected plants she can see and ejects them into space. However, according to Roscoe's calculations, the problem has not been solved. The contamination is still somewhere on the ship. They have already lost 5% of their oxygen and power supply. Over the next few days, Gina keeps working non-stop, but the situation keeps getting worse. Because she has been alone for so long, she often talks with Roscoe to deal with the loneliness. At one moment, Roscoe wonders what would happen if the ship completely fails. If both of them die, the entire human race would disappear forever, even though humans had developed amazing technologies, including the ability to control aging. Yet even with all that progress, they still could not escape the power of nature. Gina refuses to give up. To save energy, she orders Roscoe to turn off all unnecessary lights on the ship. She then creates a special antivirus solution and tells Roscoe to spray it across the entire ship to stop the contamination. Unfortunately, the solution does not work. Now Gina realizes the truth. They might not survive much longer if the problem continues, but they are so close to their destination, and she cannot allow the mission to fail. She comes up with a final plan. Since they cannot identify which plant is causing the infection, Gina decides they must remove every plant from the ship and throw them all into space. After that, they can disinfect the ship completely and grow new plants again. Roscoe warns her that this plan is extremely risky. Without plants, the ship will lose oxygen and energy very quickly. The DNA samples of future humans require stable oxygen and power to stay alive. If the levels drop too much, the samples will be destroyed, and humanity's future will disappear. Gina quietly replies that oxygen and power can still be saved, but only if one of them does not survive. She asks Roscoe to calculate which one of them is more important for completing the mission, Gina or the AI system. Depending on the result, either Gina will sacrifice her life to save oxygen, or Roscoe will shut itself down to save energy. Because for the mission to succeed, one of them must give up everything. Within 2 days, AI Roscoe finished all the calculations. The results showed that Gina's survival was slightly more important for completing the mission, but the difference was extremely small, only 0.2 points. Gina looked at the data carefully. In reality, both she and Roscoe were almost equally important. The only reason Gina ranked slightly higher was because she was human. Humans had something machines didn't, a 0.2 luck factor. Roscoe explained this clearly. Humans are naturally optimistic and emotional. When they face impossible situations, they sometimes push beyond their limits. For example, a mother can suddenly lift enormous weight to save her child. Humans can sometimes overcome probability through emotion, instinct, and hope. Machines, however, cannot do that. They can only work within their programming. They cannot go beyond it. This meant that Gina had to make a painful decision. She would have to shut down Roscoe, the AI that had been her companion for 200 years. With shaking hands, Gina opened the ship's main control panel. Roscoe spoke one last time. It told her that once she pulled the lever in front of her, the AI system would be permanently deactivated. After that moment, Gina would have to handle everything alone: navigation, repairs, rebuilding the greenhouse, maintaining data systems, everything. Before shutting down, Roscoe wished her good luck in saving humanity. With tears in her eyes, Gina finally pulled the lever. For the first time in 2 centuries, she was truly alone. Roscoe had been with her for every moment, waking her up, monitoring the ship, guiding it through space. But now there was only silence. Even so, Gina refused to give up. She began rebuilding the greenhouse from the beginning, preparing to grow new plants. But she also realized something important. During the remaining 20 years of the journey, she would need help. So she decided to artificially create children who could assist her. The technology to create humans artificially and even control their aging had actually been discovered 300 years earlier, during the 21st century. It was developed by a private company called Elixir. This company had mastered the ability to program human DNA. They could pause aging, reverse it, or even speed it up. 3 centuries ago, humans had almost conquered death itself. But if humanity had achieved something so powerful, how did they still come so close to extinction? To understand that, we must travel back 45,000 years into the past. At that time, humanity was not one species. There were 2 types of humans, Neanderthals and Homo sapiens. During the Stone Age, a small Neanderthal family of 4 lived inside a cave. The leader of the family was a man named Throne. He had been sick for some time. In that era, there was no real medicine. Even a small illness could become deadly. Throne's wife Hera and their 2 children were very worried about him. Despite his sickness, Throne still went out to hunt every day so his family would not starve. One day his condition became so bad that Hera had to carry him back to the cave herself. Days passed, but he did not recover. They tried using herbs and primitive treatments, hoping he would get better. Life outside the cave was dangerous. Wild animals could attack at any time. But if they stayed inside too long, they would starve from hunger. Since Throne was too weak to hunt, Hera began teaching their older daughter Lark how to hunt so she could survive if something happened to her parents. One day, young Lark proudly learned how to create fire using stones. Excited, she ran into the cave to tell her father. But inside, tragedy had already happened. Her little brother had died from illness. With heavy hearts, Throne, Hera, and Lark buried the youngest member of their family. Thankfully, after some time, Throne slowly recovered. When he regained his strength, he pressed the handprints of his wife and daughter onto the cave wall, their way of preserving memories of loved ones. Soon after, Hera, who was pregnant, went into labor. Thrawn brought her into the cave and told Lark to wait outside while he helped deliver the baby. A healthy baby boy was born, but Hera's health quickly became worse after childbirth. After suffering from illness for several days, she passed away. Now only Thrawn, Lark, and the newborn baby were left. They continued hunting near their cave and struggling to survive. Years passed. One day they began noticing other humans nearby. These people looked different from them. They were Homo sapiens. At first, the 2 groups stayed away from each other, but Throne became worried. He feared these strangers might harm his family, so he decided to leave the cave and move somewhere safer with his children. But the next day while traveling, they saw the same people again. Now Throne became truly afraid. He kept changing directions, trying to avoid them, thinking that these strangers might be following his family. One morning when Throne and his children woke up, they realized something frightening. Strangers had surrounded them from every side. Throne immediately tried to run away with his children, but there was no path to escape. The strangers were Homo sapiens, and since Throne's family were Neanderthals, the 2 groups could not understand each other's language. Then one man stepped forward. Instead of attacking, he used simple hand gestures to communicate. He showed that they had brought food and meant no harm. Seeing the children had made them feel sympathy, and they wanted to help. They handed food to Throne's family and then began walking back toward their own tribe. From behind, Lark quietly suggested that they should follow them. Living alone was extremely dangerous. In the Stone Age, humans could only survive safely when they lived in tribes and communities. But Throne was suspicious. These people were different. They had a proper language and seemed more organized. Physically, Homo sapiens might not have been stronger than Neanderthals, but they were smarter and more strategic. That made Throne uneasy. Still, when they reached the tribe, something surprising happened. The entire group welcomed Throne and his family warmly. They accepted them into the tribe. Throne's strength was very valuable to them. He could help defend the group against wild animals and other dangers. In those ancient times, the last Neanderthals who joined Homo sapiens tribes survived. Those who stayed isolated in caves slowly disappeared and eventually became extinct. Years passed. Lark grew older and eventually married the same man who had first offered them food. At that time, Neanderthals and Homo sapiens were able to have children together. Because of that, even today in the modern world, in the year 2026, about 96% of human DNA comes from Homo sapiens, while about 4% comes from Neanderthals. In other words, modern humans are mostly Homo sapiens, but a small part of Neanderthal still lives inside us. Throne and his family spent the rest of their lives peacefully within the Homo sapiens tribe, and from here, the story jumps forward to the present day, the year 2026. In this time, there is a couple named Claire and Grick. They love each other, but their jobs force them to live in different places. Over time, the distance begins to create tension in their relationship. Claire works in a research laboratory where she studies ancient skeletons to learn more about human history. Recently, her research team discovered Neanderthal remains. Claire was extremely excited about this discovery. It could become a major breakthrough in her field. She happily calls her mother and tells her how strong and fascinating Neanderthals were. She believes these remains might lead to an incredible scientific discovery. Meanwhile, Grick keeps calling her, trying to talk to her. But Claire is so busy with her work that she doesn't answer. Then one day while working in the lab, Claire receives a call from her mother. The news is devastating. Her mother has been diagnosed with cancer, and the doctors say she may not have much time left. Claire is completely shocked and heartbroken. She immediately takes leave from her job and rushes to be with her mother. The next few weeks become extremely painful for her. She watches her once strong and healthy mother slowly grow weaker as the illness takes over. For any child, seeing a parent fade away like this is unbearable. During this difficult time, Claire starts talking with Grick again. She tells him that she is watching her mother die in front of her eyes, and there is nothing she can do to stop it. Grick tries to comfort her. He tells her something difficult but true. Humans can never truly become immortal. Everyone who is born will one day die. He explains that if humans stopped dying, if life became endless, then birth and life itself would lose their meaning. Trying to escape the pain, Claire throws herself even deeper into her research work, but nothing helps. 6 months later, her mother passes away. Now Claire feels completely alone. Overwhelmed with grief, she withdraws from everyone and isolates herself for weeks, unable to face the world. One day, something unexpected happens. Grick receives a message from Claire. She wants to meet him again. After everything they have been through, the two finally meet. This time, they decide not to drift apart again. They move back in together, and soon after, they get married. By the year 2030, 4 years later, they have children of their own. Life seems to be moving forward, but Claire never fully recovers from the loss of her mother. Her mother's death leaves a deep impact on her mind. Questions about life, death, and mortality continue to haunt her. She begins trying to answer those questions through science. One day, Claire and Grick take their son to a museum nearby. Inside the museum, something very familiar catches Claire's attention. On display is the same ancient skeleton she had helped research 4 years earlier. After many years of scientific analysis, Claire and her team had made an incredible discovery. The skeleton belonged to Throne, the Neanderthal who, 45,000 years ago, had joined a Homo sapiens tribe with his children. Throne's bones had survived across tens of thousands of years, and now his remains stood in front of Claire and Grick in the modern world. During the past 4 years, Claire's research on those bones had led to an extraordinary breakthrough. By studying the genetic strength and resilience of ancient humans, she discovered a possible method to program human DNA. This discovery could allow humans to dramatically extend their lifespan, bringing humanity one step closer to immortality. However, by the year 2030, the technology was still unfinished. Then the story jumps forward again, this time to the year 2450. By then, Earth no longer exists as a livable planet. Overpopulation and pollution had destroyed it. Humanity had achieved incredible technological progress. They had even found ways to control aging, but despite all their progress, they had failed to gain wisdom. Now, on the last surviving spaceship, Gina travels toward a distant planet that could support life. Her mission is to restart the human race. Across these 3 different timelines, humanity faces different struggles. In the Stone Age, survival meant fighting against hunger, disease, and wild animals. In the year 2026, survival had become easy. Humans had plenty of food, shelter, and medicine. Because life was comfortable, humans began focusing on something else, defeating death itself. Eventually, they succeeded in controlling aging, but in doing so, they forgot something important. They forgot balance with nature. Overpopulation and environmental destruction eventually destroyed the very planet that supported them. After all, what is the value of immortality if there is no world left to live in? And now in the year 2450, humanity is more technologically advanced than ever before, yet they have no home. The survival of the entire species now depends on one spaceship. To save energy and oxygen, Gina had already shut down the AI Roscoe. Then she makes another bold decision. She creates a baby artificially aboard the ship and names her V. Gina programs V's DNA so that she will grow much faster than normal humans. Instead of taking decades to grow up, V will reach maturity in just a few years. This will allow her to help maintain the spaceship during the remaining 20 years of the journey. Gina begins teaching V everything she knows about survival, about the destruction of Earth, and about their mission to build a new human civilization on another planet. She also tells V an important truth. V, along with many other preserved embryos, has been genetically programmed to grow quickly. When they reach the new planet, they will rapidly grow and help rebuild the human population. And here we see something remarkable across all three timelines. In every era, children are taught what they need to survive. In the Stone Age, children learned how to make fire, to cook food and protect themselves from predators. In the year 2026, Claire's children grow up learning science, understanding DNA, genetics, and how aging can be controlled. And in the year 2450, children are engineered to grow faster, so they can wake others from cryosleep and help rebuild human civilization itself. Along with teaching V how to survive, Gina carefully trains her for the future. She explains what V must do if something goes wrong during the spaceship's landing. Gina tells her to stay focused, calm, and emotionally strong. Because if the landing fails, nothing will survive. Every memory, every story, and the entire history of humanity would disappear with them. At the same time, far in the ancient past, Throne's daughter Lark is giving birth to children of her own. Through her family, Neanderthals and Homo sapiens fully merge into one lineage. Time keeps moving. Years turn into decades. Eventually, an old Throne takes his final breath. But this time, he dies peacefully, knowing that his family is safe. After his death, his son and daughter Lark return to the cave, where the handprints of their mother and younger brother are still marked on the stone walls. There, beside those ancient memories, they press Throne's handprint onto the wall as well, the only way they know to preserve his existence. In the second timeline, Clare and Grick's son grows up and finally perfects the DNA programming medicine. Humanity now has the ability to completely control aging. People around the world begin choosing immortality. No one wants to die anymore. But Clare and Grick make a different decision. They choose not to use the medicine on themselves. By this time, they understand something important. Without death, life loses its meaning. Mortality creates urgency, and the fragility of life gives it value. So when they grow old, they accept it. They leave the world naturally on their own terms. Meanwhile, in the year 2450, the final spaceship finally reaches the new planet. Because of Gina's training, the landing goes perfectly. Since Gina carried the entire mission alone for so many years, she becomes the first human to step onto the surface of this new world. Before beginning this new chapter of humanity, Gina gives V a special gift, a necklace. It is the same necklace that once belonged to Throne, thousands of years ago. The very same necklace that passed through all three timelines. Now it becomes a symbol of survival, change, and adaptation. Humans may never defeat nature, but they can adapt to it. Gina steps onto the surface of the new planet. The world is beautiful and full of life. Within a few years, together they build a thriving human colony. This planet becomes humanity's new home. Many years later, Gina stands quietly at V's funeral. She had programmed V to grow quickly so the colony could expand fast, and it worked. Humanity survived, but the accelerated growth had a cost. V also aged faster. She grew old before Gina and passed away earlier. After that, Gina moves permanently to the space station orbiting the planet, watching over humanity's new world from above. She promises herself that this time, humanity will not repeat the mistakes that destroyed Earth. And with that hopeful message that in every era humans face new dangers, yet somehow always find a way to survive, this science fiction metaphorical story comes to an end. Thank you for watching.